Alright, hello everybody and welcome on back. We're going to jump right back into another episode of Sunday Musings, but we're getting into some pretty deep stuff. Like I mentioned last time, I've been talking to a couple of gents on the X app. I think they're gents. The one person, in fact, let's go ahead and figure that out. I'm going to go see, because it sounds like a dude. He's not one that was talking about women's rights. I don't think I've brought that up here. Let's see. Yep, America first, yeah, and he was just like, F that. I'm pretty sure, oh, wait. Now, I agree with this guy a lot. I'm not going to say his name on here, but yeah, words mean things. Trans equals pretend. Don't confuse your Google search with my doctorate and decades of experience. It's from Illinois, and he has a YouTube. But, anyways, no, I mean, and that's one thing, like, I've had, Oh yeah. Okay, so I said the world isn't America's house. I'm working towards a global government with one unified military that protects against internal nonsense. Tell yourself what you have to, but what we've been doing is flying around the world and breaking into other people's houses. Because the other guy, the retired military, he's like, I'm seriously trying to understand your unique thinking process. He's constantly thinking that I'm stoned. He's like, but obviously I'm clearly failing at it. You seem to be okay with bad guys, with criminals coming into your house and wiping out the whole family, and then calling the armed owner of the house a murderer if. And I came out and I said something really bold. I said that the military are a bunch of murderers, and then I walked it back almost instantly with a picture of my grandpa that served in World War II, my dad that served in the Vietnam, that he made fun of. Like, he already ripped on my dad without knowing that my dad was a veteran buried in a veteran cemetery. Yeah, he's dead. My grandpa's dead. I never knew my grandpa. He died, I think, like lung cancer and stuff. He had a very unhealthy life, probably trying to wash away the demons of killing people in World War II. And my dad, the same thing. He was stationed in Korea, but he still had to be ready to kill somebody at the drop of a hat. And he taught me how to kill. He taught me how to shoot a gun really well. I was a really good shot. And I used to shoot with local law enforcement too. Just these little things. Like, not shoot with them, but shoot at the same range that they did. And so, like, I was familiar with, and, like, my mom would be, like, telling me, like, so this is where we go to this, and this is, like, this is the range, and this would be the test. Kind of talking me up for when I want to go work at the prison. Because that's where my parents, well, my dad, not so much. I don't know why he just didn't like the idea of working at a prison. And, like, I think, well, I feel like we have a lot of family on either side of the bars, so maybe it was a personal thing. I don't know. But, you know, anyways, we had a lot of friends and family that did that as well. That's what you do in BV. You work at the prison, or you work at some of the fast food joints, or you're a teacher. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on there. So, anyways, where's my train of thought? Oh yeah, so, and then I just said my whole Illuminati, and I like to spell it like naughty, kind of like doing like a Monty Python, but like a mind game thing. And it's hilarious. But then he's like, America first, and I could tell, like, this guy I think is an ex-soldier. And I even made a ridiculous comparison to a group of pedophiles and a group of murderers. Like, if you had a bunch of priests that are known to molest children, and somehow you got them gathered up and sent to a place where they're going to be around children, like, is that just as bad as if, like, because I was basically trying to prove a point that our military goes from country to country with the intent on killing people in that country, hunting a certain, like, and I get it, hunting the people that did 9/11, like, and they need to be brought to justice, and they have been, and I'm glad they did. Like, that's why I say, like, Osama getting taken out, that pretty much had to happen. There had to be a fall guy, unfortunately, and you like to think that that really was the brains of the operation, which we have a lot of intel that pointed to that being the case. Like, that's why they were hunting him. That's why they had this picture. Like, or even if he wasn't directly like the mastermind in all of it, like, he was calling some of the shots. So I mean, it was a target, blood for blood. It's human nature to want revenge and vengeance. But then, like, we should have stopped. Like, we tried to fix the Middle East, and we caused a lot of it too, like in our arms dealing and stuff. That's why Lord of War is such a powerful movie with Nicolas Cage there. And it actually, like, says, like, this is based on a true story. I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, I'm not 100%, so, like, don't take anything I say at face value. Go investigate it. If you're upset, go look it up. Like, I could very well be wrong. A lot. In fact, I have been. I've had a friend point out when I did some Trump memes back when he was running for president the first time, and I was like, who is this clown? Like, like another Reagan, another movie star trying to become leader and basically look out for rich people. Like, we don't need that. And like, that's what trickle down ended up being. And like, a lot of wealthy CEOs and stuff, yeah, they reap the benefits of that. All right. Also, this is taking forever. I'm wondering if, yeah, we should just go wander, take all of those cacti, then maybe some of those will grow. What I should do is make a field closer by. Anyways, is it this one? I mean, I think it's all pretty much, yeah. So I could just punch cacti. So anyways, it's basically watching a lot of Jay and Silent Bob and comedy movies, George Carlin, like having a global perspective to begin with. Comedians, like they hold no punches. They talk a lot of smack. I mean, and sometimes they cross lines, like Chris Rock. Like he crossed the line, and Will Smith slapped him. Good. People need to know where that line is. I don't really encourage violence, but like, anybody thinking that he's a victim, he asked for it. And if he was in jail or prison or anything making those jokes, like he could get shanked pretty quick. Like if there's not enough time for understanding and for calming down after being offended by some of that. And that is a very sore spot. Like, if the woman of your life, your wife, like your spouse, that's another reason like ethical non-monogamy needs to be a thing where you can stray as long as everybody involved is okay with it. Like if you have an agreement with your spouse to where they can go fool around with someone, go live out a dream, a fantasy, or whatever. Life is short, and like there could be a bunch of grudges, and as long as and I struggled with this too. One of my exes wanted to do this, and I wasn't thinking about it, and she even wanted me to be involved in it, and I was like, I got really jealous. I was like, I don't, and that's natural. Like guys will run around and do the dirty with a bunch of women and not feel a thing, but then as soon as it's like comes down to another dude and their lady, it's like oof, you get that territorial thing. Like I don't want another dude poking around in there. Like anyway, sorry, let's keep this PG-13. But anyways, which is a good marker for a lot of these videos. Like they're not really dangerous if kids start watching them because even um, by fifth grade, you're learning dare, you're learning drugs, you're learning substances like drug abuse resistance education, and that's drug abuse, not drug use. And I never understood that. There's drug use, which now you could be what some people call Colorado sober, where you just smoke bud and you don't drink alcohol. And I think that's a wonderful thing. A lot of people should try switching to that. Because drinking, I've been 4 years without drinking now. New Year's 4 years ago. And last New Year's, I was hanging out with my old roommate in Dubai, and he was wasted. Woof. Oh, sorry. I mean, that's between you and me. But anyways, uh, yeah, and I didn't drink, but I still had fun. I went out and hung out at Club Blah Blah, and we danced till like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, I don't know. It was ridiculous. There was at least 3. And then I think it was like closer around like 3, and then we got home around like 4, got to the hotel. And so it's just amazing to see Dubai and like the people acting exactly the same as people in America. It's human nature, and like in all of the ologies that I did in college, psychology, sociology, I did psychology 4 times because like I kept failing it. Like I mean, and I loved like going and like I'd go to some of the classes, but then I'd like go do other things and like and then I'd show up for the test. And the first time through, I was like, oh, this is easy. I could just read the chapters and go to the test, which worked for a while. But then it started getting to the point where there was things that were in the lecture only that I wasn't getting and weren't in the textbook so much or weren't explained well. And so, I found out that you can't do that. You got to go to class every day. So, and that's the dangers of like hearing stories like, oh, they were so smart they skipped a grade, or oh, they went to high school early or college early. It's like, wait a minute. Like they already had enough knowledge and understanding to do that. So, I don't know, like prodigies and stuff like that, I feel like there should be a quick path that anybody can prove that they can test out of stuff. And that's one of the things that I'm working on now. It's going to be pretty grand. Like I've been trying to recruit people for a while, but like, because anyways, building educational games, and I know there's stuff out there for money, but like, what do you do about the people that don't have a lot of money or that have already factored their finances in other ways? That's usually when you're dealing with substance abuse situations, like you're trying to use substances for like depression, PTSD, mental illnesses, and then that becomes a mental illness, the substance abuse. And never mind, substance use is far different. And like, that's the only reason alcohol still has been legal this long in America is like, and it was illegal for a while. We were just as, protective of our people as Saudi Arabia still is. It's still illegal, but it's going to be legalized soon. In Qatar, during the FIFA World Soccer Championship, it was illegal. There's a bunch of alcohol that didn't get sold. Like that was they were gearing up for a big business, time, and that's why cannabis has been illegal so long. Is because the liquor industry has such a stranglehold on governments all around the world, and it's loosening. People are starting to realize in Colorado of all people. Like I was just talking to somebody, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, they put a brewery up in the old the old watchtower for the old airport." And that's hilarious to me. I think people should be free to drink alcohol as well. And they should be able to choose. Like, I've drank enough in my lifetime. I don't really like it anymore. It's a personal preference. And, I said it before, I'll say it again. I saw this meme where alcohol is the only substance that you have to make up an excuse as to why you don't use it, or you have to come up with a reason to why you're not using it. Because you go out to the bars with people like, "Oh, you don't drink? What's wrong?" And I remember one of my coworkers told me, she was like, "Oh, you had a problem with it?" And it's like, no, I feel like, and what I tell people a lot of the times is like, I drank enough for 5 lifetimes, like, and I did too. I was drinking entire handles of vodka in high school, like, and you think about Russians too. And again, like, we are so all people, we were all brothers and sisters, like, I mean, if you're Christian, we all are technically, because we all come from Adam and Eve. So, but nobody wants to talk about that. So, two white people in the middle of the Garden of Eden, or it's just depicted as white people because that's what we imagine. The Bible is, there's no pictures in the. Are there pictures? I don't think so. Anyways, not in the versions like the normal versions that are found in the pews and stuff. Pew pew. Um, the Bible. I read a lot of the Bible growing up as a Methodist, but I had a woman preacher, and I thought she was a lesbian. And that's important because, first off, a woman leader. And I was raised by my mom too. Like my dad was around, but he was like a state over working in a mine. He was a boss. He was a foreman for a mining crew, and like so he's underground all day blasting and doing heavy work and like, all this stuff. And he was a little guy too, little motorcycle enthusiast, but like he was like 130 pounds, like 5'4" or something, like tiny guy. And I was like I towered over him. In fact, I got a picture on my Facebook of my sister calling me the giant standing next to my our dad. And like, yeah, and then he passed away before I even got done with high school. Depression and all that, So things that I want to try to protect other people against. There is a motive to all this madness, like trying to advocate for cannabis legalization, not because I want the whole world to smoke weed, but I want it to be there for people to choose. If they don't like alcohol, cool. If you tried this cannabis stuff, I mean, you still don't drive. You cannot drive while using cannabis. It's a law. Like you will get in trouble if you get pulled over, and that's the if you get caught. But really, do you want to play that game? Like, same with speeding too. Like just because nobody's around to see it and you think it's totally safe, what if that's the day that something unexpected happens? Like someone jumps out of the middle of the road, like a kid chases their ball down the street or something. Like, and then you cream some kid. Or, sorry, that sounded gross. Like you kill some kid, murder with a vehicular homicide. Um, and then it's like determined whether it's an intentional, what's the degree of the intent, like blah 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 blah. And that's come up in this too, because this all started with a Trump meme where I said, imagine being told to get over a school shooting by someone who can't get over losing an election. And I debated all the quote unquote evidence that one person was presenting about how Trump really did win the election and it was stolen. And I think there was still one case that Trump won out of like the 61 cases, I think, or maybe it was like 63 or 64. I think it was like 64 cases and 63 were proven false. There was no evidence of election fraud. And I will repeat, no evidence of election fraud. Now, that one out of 64, yeah, and there was some election fraud on both sides. Like, even Vivek Ramaswamy had some outside contractors do their work for him for some of their polling or whatever. Or not even polling, some of their votes, and there were dead people on it. So they pulled a black sheep. There was a Chris Farley movie with David Spade and Chris Farley, basically Tommy Boy, but if they were in politics. And it was almost a Laurel and Hardy too. We've been doing it for ages. Ugh, sorry. Also, I need some glass. Let's go get some more of that. Yeah. So, anyways, and in that they find that, and that's how they find out what this military nut job. And sorry, this is spoilers. So if you haven't seen Black Sheep, this is spoilers. But a military nut job that loved his country so much exposed the person that he was gonna vote for. Like he was pro-military and he wanted to vote for this guy, but then like I think anyway, it was supposed to like resemble Republicans, and generally a lot of comedians are more Democrats and like bleeding hearts trying to fix all the problems, whereas a lot of the Republicans are either super wealthy or super poor. And if they're super wealthy, then they're enough to where they can convince the super poor that they need that. And I honestly feel that. I feel like that's how it is. That's part of why I always vote Democrat. Now, if you vote Republican, that's your deal. I mean, a lot of it comes from pride, from family pride, the upbringing of people, like especially military backgrounds. Like that's just a fact, and I respect that. Having a military family myself, my dad used to get into arguments. My dad got into arguments with my grandma, his stepmom, about Bill Clinton. Like I don't think my dad liked Bill Clinton or something. Or maybe it was vice versa. I don't know. I think Bill was okay, except for we're hearing talk about how he might be involved in the Epstein flights and like if he was really going to that island with underage girls. I mean, even with like 18-year-old to like 30-year-old, that's still creepy. For like a 40. And I'm in that situation now. I'm in my mid 30s, and I have to choose. Like I went to campus the other day. Oh, this is actually a while ago now, but I was not attracted to like any of them. Like I knew they were like, I was like, wow, if I was like 5 years younger or 10 years younger, cool. But it felt like being out of high school, and I felt like I was like that. What's his name? The all right guy, where he's like they stay the same age. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, this is messed up, and like, so I wasn't looking. Normally, I'd be checking girls out left and right. Like, I mean, yoga pants, like they're in great physical shape and all that, and they are like that. So I don't know. So I'm aiming my sights higher, and it's true. Like I'm definitely attracted to older women now. That like women that have been through it, have that they're a little battle worn. Like they've got some stories. Like those are the more worth it. Like because then you don't have to deal with a lot of the nonsense. Sorry. Like same with guys too. Like if you date older, and I've heard that argument too. Like you have less nonsense to deal with, less drama, which I don't know. Depends on the guy for sure, and the gal in every situation like that. I don't know. And then it cracks me up that the Pope. Wait, I do have a. I just need a crafting table, so we can go. But the Pope is allowed for the blessing of same-sex marriage, or I like to say non-traditional marriages, because same-sex only covers like a couple of the situations that would normally. I mean, so with people transitioning in gender, not sex, but actual gender, like their identities and stuff. And that's one of the big things I gotta just make a distinction too, because again, South Park has an episode where Gerald becomes a dolphin. And it's ridiculous because he thinks that he's a dolphin and he can swim and breathe underwater and like go live with the dolphins when really, no, it's all cosmetic and now he's mutilated and he's not a dolphin. He's a lawfin. He's a lawyer dolphin, but he's a person that looks like. Anyways, it was a good like intention, like wanting to fulfill his fantasy of being a dolphin as the dolphin makes a noise. But with the science isn't there yet. Same with people. Like you can't become the other sex yet. Now I wouldn't doubt it. Like in a few years we'll probably get there. I mean, there's hormone therapy. There's like medicines. It's scary to me because I would not want to flip flop a gender, without seriously considering it, thinking it through. And some people do, and that's fine. Like if for you, that's cool. I believe in the freedom to do that. But also, like even 18 to go to war, I don't think that's a good age. Alcohol, I think it should be legal like other countries. Like we tried 3-2, but it was just too much and too much crime and too much drunk driving and crashing and death. Like there was a reason behind that. So there was a kind of banning of alcohol for a certain age. But we still need a strong military, which means we need to recruit. And I remember even when I was like training for the Marines, didn't make it, by the way. And I did confess that in this tweet, this response that I did to this guy, because first I showed that, yeah, my family's military. I'm the first in my family to not, well, the first man in my line did not go. Not a lot of the women did either, but I remember my first wife's my first ex-wife. As I consider I have two, even though I've never been married officially, but I've been in two relationships serious enough to be like, you know, newlywed. Anyways, um, her grandparents both worked on the Fulton Skyhook. So, and that was actually used in the Batman movie when he gets. I was just watching it, The Dark Knight, with my favorite Joker, and he uses the Fulton Skyhook, and Morgan Freeman even explains what it is, and the whole time, like she and I are watching that movie together, and we were kind of tripping, like, and we were tripping nuts, and and I was talking like the Joker, like, why so serious, and all this fun stuff, and we were laughing and having a grand old time. Good old college, but anyways, and we were fine. I mean, she's off to be like some kind of activist, and yeah, worked in ski patrol, did all this cool stuff. Like, yeah. Anyways, yeah, you could tell I kind of miss her, but life moves on. And hey, with E&M, you know, it's never really the end. Imagine that. So, like, if I get like hundreds of thousands of followers, I'm just gonna be like, hey, so and so, what are you doing? What are you and your husband doing? Or wife? I don't know. I don't judge, but you know. Anyways, it's a thought. And that's not the real reason I try to push it. I try to push ENM on the Twitters. I've kind of eased up on the Pope in suggesting that because he's already gone huge lengths to allow the blessing of non-traditional marriages. So like same-sex, different sex, but like reverse genders, like all of this, like humanizing people that are still people, even if they try to transition. And that's fine. Like they're still humans. They still deserve human rights no matter what they do. And that's one of the big arguments is there's a lot of misconceptions about like basically like oh you're letting kids mutilate themselves and stuff like that and like that's where a lot of people are more concerned and then parents too. It's like being gay back in the even the 90s and the 80s. Like if your kid turned out gay, it was like considered that you were a failure. Like oh no, they're going to grow up gay. Like oh no. And like now, people are pretty open about it and like even being bisexual or in between like you don't have to commit to one ideology or anything so it's like if you were gay cool like you're not all that special like there's plenty of other people in fact uh, well how do I say that a large population of the student population where I work is like that so I mean it's not like yeah it's whatever sorry just trying to not to give too much information out. But then even like a basic LinkedIn search will tell everything too. But I don't like to advertise it here because there are going to be some trolls that follow me over and will like go as far to go to a YouTube, but I don't think they'll look up the LinkedIn. And even if they do, then they'll be like, oh, but what if they try to harass the school I work at? And then we could bring up charges on them that way. And so I think more people are realizing that like. They have to really piss you off or really upset you, which I do. I mean, this dude, he called me wet behind the ears and like and he's trying to say like I'm older than you, I've served in the military, I've seen more than you, like my way or the highway, like Trump all the way. And I'm debating him like, no, Trump's trying to bring back the death penalty for drug dealing. Like I agree certain drugs need to be off the streets and they're dangerous, but killing people over it isn't going to fix anything. It's just going to make a lot more problems. And by firing squad too. Like when was the last time we used firing squad for anything? I don't think we have. Like I mean, I want to say we did back in the day, but we do gas. Like in Law Abiding Citizen, that's a really good movie. I think with Russell Crowe or the guy that looks like Russell Crowe. Um, anyways, Gerard Butler, I think it is. But it's a really good movie, and it's about this engineer that loses his family in a home invasion. Like these thieves, probably strung out on drugs, like needing money for drugs, and to where they would do something ridiculous, like break into a house. Like that's still a very valid concern. And that's why certain drugs need to still be illegal or still be heavily regulated, like to where you cannot get them. But then that's the thing is like black markets, you can get anything anyway. So really, all you're doing is you're making it dangerous for the person to go do the thing that they're probably going to do anyway. And then it's dangerous if they interact with law enforcement because they're going to be thinking, oh, I'm going to prison for like 10 years. And like 4 years is what a lot of us have a frame of reference for high school. And imagining all of the stories and all of the living you do in high school, or not, if you're like my friend Chad and you die. Yeah, sorry, I'll say his name, but he's going to be in that mausoleum across the street or across the bay from here when I build that white stuff over there. He died in a drunk driving accident. He was the drunk driver, but great. Like he made a mistake, now he's dead. Like, and I spoke at his funeral. That was my first experience of life and death. Like, I mean, well, maybe not my first experience because my dad was when I was 15. Chad, we were 18 and we were working together. So yeah, he was doing concrete, I was doing frames. So yeah, maybe not my first experience with like death, like close death, but my own mortality, like my dad dying, okay, that's an adult, that's like a little less bad. But someone my age dead, snuffed out, like not gonna do anything else in his life. Like no, his life is done. I mean, it's messed up. So I think I had some PTSD from that, and like PTSD from my dad, dying, and then like all this, and so yeah. So there were reasons that I might have gone above and beyond back in the day. Definitely cannabis. Oh my gosh, I loved smoking bud. Like I was watching Adam Sandler movies and like, enjoying myself, comedians and all that. And I kind of feel bad. I feel like I do want to go see him in person. He does a lot of shows. He was just here, but I didn't have the money set aside for that. And that's a lot of money to just be like, well, I'm just gonna go up and see Adam Sandler. Like, no. And I bought his movies. I bought a lot of his movies actually. Like, in fact, I bought multiple copies of his movies. I think over the years because I kept losing DVDs, so I'd buy more copies. And I don't know, and the whole piracy thing and back and forth, like, that's a whole debate. Like intellectual property and then making it to where anybody can see it. Like Hollywood needs to be reined in for sure. And then the movie theater candy, my gosh, like it's insane. And like the drinks, you're easily dropping like 50, 60 bucks going to the movies. And like so that's why it's a little nicer to you can buy movies. In fact, I've done it with like I got the Mario movie, I got Coraline. My daughter loves it. Coraline is a great movie. It's very creepy, but makes you think, and it's a fun story. Anyways, but it is very macabre. So, anyways, that's my movie review. Um, we have a couple other movies I forget, but I think we have Matilda too, 'cause that's another one. It was really good. That's like a '90s movie with Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito's the narrator, and he's like talking about he's such a sweet and kind person, and there's some stories behind that, like the actress that played Matilda, or we should say actor, and then actor refers to male and female and everyone in between. But anyways, that's the whole human, them, and women argument or idea. But anyways, no, Matilda. Um, I think she was going through some things like her actual mom in real life was sick and dying, and so a lot of it hit home. And like, oh, anyways, just human troubles, and just to be aware that that's out there and that is a concern. I need some wooden. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Because I think I've been doing. Yeah, see, like here, one, two, three, four. 4 rows. You're still not hitting your head. It's just so. Also, we're almost out of glass. Dang. Alright. Well, this is gonna look so cool when it's done. I mean, it's not even gonna be done for anytime soon. Oh yeah, got a lot. I mean, might as well just do the stairs. Let's just keep working that. So we could talk some computer science and stuff, but basically, yeah. And that's why I'm gonna build the mausoleum so I can like walk around and give little stories, show some respect to my friends that have passed, and they've passed from all sorts of things like drunk driving, opiate addiction, um, alcohol addiction. Uh, I think I was saying last time or a couple times ago, today anyway, I've had one romantic person in my life die from like, I want to say being drunk in the desert down in Mexico, but it could have been anything. It could have been cartel stuff. It could have been like, like drugs. I don't know, but like she was a partier, and dehydration is a very serious thing, and you're not supposed to drink the water from local places. So like maybe she couldn't find some, bottled water or safe water. So rather trying to protect against like a stomach ache or a stomach virus or being food poisoned or whatever, she died, I think. And I think that's what actually happened. Then I have another friend that got beat up because he was Middle Eastern. Like I didn't even notice that. But, in hindsight, it kind of makes sense. It doesn't matter. Like, we were really good friends, and we still would have been friends regardless. But I think he was even embarrassed by it. And I remember, when we were getting ready for the Cottonmouth Kings Tech Nine concert, and I remember he was wearing like a scarf or something like Middle Eastern. I was confused. I was like, oh, that's tight. Like I thought he like joined Islam and like did whatever, like, 'cause that happens in like prison and school. One, two, three, four. Anywhere where you're around other cultures and people, I hear stories of people converting to Islam. And I mean, that's not for me. Let's see, but neither is Christianity, really. I mean, I'm a scientist now. I'm a skeptical Christian, is what I like to call it. I believe a lot of the Christian things are good. Like, they're not a bunch of weird story. Well, some of it's weird. Let's see. One, two, three, four. There we go. I just wanted to make sure I knew where I was going to cut off with that. So, and actually, that was the 30-minute mark. But, yeah, so I'll outline all of the people that have died in my life, why they died, depression. Oh, my dad, depression and alcoholism and suicide. So, that's why I advocate for cannabis, legal cannabis, normalized cannabis use in public, smoke shops, lounges, a safe way to use cannabis, and not just like dangling it like, all right, we legalized it. What more do you want from us? Like, no, that's not enough. And like, and stopping arresting people for other non-violent substance crimes, like just having some of these substances is enough to put you away for years. Let's see, one, two, three, four. And that's movies like Bad Boys, which I still are like some of my favorite movies with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. There's like three of them. Excellent movies. They actually have a Nicky Jam, I think, in one of them. Anyways, um, the point is we used to have bad guys, good guys and bad guys, and if you're doing drugs or if you're involved in drugs in any way, you could get shot. Oh wait, whoops. That needs to just be four. So let's see. One, two, three, four. So the stairs are on this side now, or that's the gap, or the thing to fill in, sorry, is this side. Anyways, ta-ta for now. I'll see you in the next one. I'll probably do another. Alright, ta-ta.